Today we're going to be looking at how you can create light rays in your scene in Blender just like I did in my short film in these scenes. But here's the catch. A lot of the light ray tutorials I've seen show you to blast your entire scene with a volumetric object and then to try and shine light through things like windows or cookies. The problem is that means you have to consume your entire scene in volumetrics and it greatly increases your render times. With this light ray effect, we're using a singular cone and a noise system that stretches out and gives us that light ray look, allowing us complete artistic control to place this and size this wherever we want. Now, at the end of this tutorial, you'll have this fully functioning cone that you can control with gizmos. And then you can come here in the shader and control things like the color, the noise scale, contrast, and more. And I'm going to show you how to do all of that. Or if you'd rather just buy the final product here, you can check out the dynamic visual effects pack, which this cone is now included in. Let's dive in and start building our own version here. Open a new Blender scene. We're going to grab our default cube here. We're going to switch over to the geometry nodes view. And the first thing we're going to do is build that kind of cone shaping system. So I'm going to drag this window over here because we're not going to need that data information for now. I'm going to name this cube light ray, and then I'm going to click new on the geometry node down here. I'm going to name this light ray as well, just to keep things organized. And then we're ready to begin. Now, the first thing we're going to do is build out the cone system. And then after that, we will build the gizmos to control it. So we're going to disconnect the geometry here because we're not actually going to be using the cube geometry. And we're going to search here for a cone primitive, and we're going to drag that right here. Now I'm going to set my vertices to 16 here because we don't need a super high resolution object for this effect. And then I'm going to drag a couple of these over here to expose the parameters. So I'm going to drag this out so you can see what they say. We're going to take the radius top here. We're going to plug that in there. And then we're going to take the radius bottom here, plug that in here. And we're going to grab the depth here and plug that into here. Now we're going to change some of these names over here. So I'm going to press the N key. And if I come down here, you can see that we have all those options available. So we're going to change radius top to source radius. We're going to change radius bottom to end radius. And we're going to change depth to length. And now when you animate these parameters later, it'll be a little bit more clear what you're looking at in the graph editor. Now, if I take this cone here and I drag this over here, we can see the cone we're working with. And an issue we have right now is that the origin point is pivoting from the bottom. However, we want it to pivot from the top. And we want it to do this despite whatever length it is. So we want that origin point to stay dynamically up here. So in Blender, we have things called a bounding box. So if I grab this bounding box here, I'm going to add this right here. And you can see what it's done is it's created a bounding box. So if I mute that, you can see how it's actually kind of creating that shape around there. So if I were to change the depth here, let's say like that, and unmute it, you see how it's also changing the shape of that bounding box. So we can use this to get the height information of our object because it will do this bounding box no matter the shape or placement of our object. So we can basically divide that and then move the origin point up. So we're going to grab the max vector here from the bounding box. I'm just going to plug the cone over here and unplug the bounding box. We take this max vector. The first thing we want to do is separate that vector into an X, Y, and Z because we want to grab just the Z axis of this so that we can get the height. Now what we're going to do is take this height here, drag it out, and we're going to search for a multiply node math. Just like that. We're going to do this by -1 here. Then we're going to take a combine XYZ. So I'm just going to drag this off. Search for combine XYZ. I'm going to plug into the X by default. I'm just going to move this down here into the Z. I'm going to drag this over here. And we're going to look for a transform geometry. And I'm going to drag this over this right here. So that's from our cone to the end group output there. And then I'm going to take this combined vector here and I'm going to move it to the translation. And now you can see that it is moved down. And however we change this, you can see that it remains there at the top. So now when we move around to animate or try and place our light rays, we can kind of place from the light source at the top, which is kind of the expected behavior. So next, let's add some gizmos so that we can just control the shape and size of this all in the viewport and don't really have to mess with these numbers. So we're kind of done with this section here. If you want, you can actually do a search and do a join in named frame there. And if I click that, we can name this and we can just call this cone creation. And you can even change these label colors and things if you want, but I'm just going to leave it at the default and move it up there. So let's create some gizmos. So if you don't know, Blender just has gizmos built in. So if we search here, I'm going to use a linear gizmo and click that right there. One interesting thing about the way gizmos work is in geometry nodes, a lot of things for it to appear, you need to plug into the left side. With gizmos and the way they work, you don't really see it until you plug into the right side here. So if I do this, you can now see that I have a gizmo there. So we're going to create 3 gizmos. so that we can control the length and the radius and a few other elements. So let's grab this gizmo here, and we're going to duplicate it 3 times here. And then we're going to change just a few quick settings. So on this top one here, we're going to change the direction from the Z to the X. And so if I plug that in here to show you what that looks like, what we're essentially doing is just changing the direction of it. So this is going to be how we drag the size of our cone, for example. So I'm just going to unplug that and reconnect my cone here. And then down here, what we're going to do is set this one to a secondary gizmo. And we're also going to change this one in the same direction. So we'll do 1 and 0 there. And then for this last one, we're going to set this on the Z axis. This is going to be controlling our depth here. And for this one, we're going to come down here and change this to -1. So that'll create all the gizmos that we need. So let's begin hooking those up. So right now, unfortunately, all these gizmos are invisible. So we're going to use a join geometry so that we can make them visible. We'll plug this in after our transform geometry and start plugging these in just like that. And I want to keep this a little organized. So if I hold shift, right click and drag, I have Node Wrangler add-on enabled. It'll create a bunch of reroute nodes. And then I can just bring these over here and just keep things a tiny bit more organized visually. So let's start hooking up our gizmos so that they're usable. So first, let's create a control for the top radius here. I'm going to use this gizmo here. If I grab the value here and plug it into the source radius, you can now see that we have that top gizmo controlling that radius. It's also controlling our values over here. So if you set a keyframe here, you can then animate it with this, just like you would like a control. Now let's create one for the bottom radius. So if I drag this gizmo over here on the end radius, you'll see that it doesn't appear down here. That's because it's actually stuck up here. So when I drag this, you can see how I'm just stuck at the top there. And we want that gizmo to be down at the bottom. So we can actually do that by altering the position here. So we could just move this down into position, but we need this to match the length every time. So we're going to use the depth map here, the length. We'll drag this down into a math multiply node. So search for multiply. Make sure you're plugging it into the blue one. We're going to times this by -1. We're going to drag this off into a combine X, Y, and Z. We're going to move this down to the Z, and then we'll plug this vector here into the position. And now, no matter what the length is, it will be snapped to the bottom there, and we can control the bottom of our position. Now, the last gizmo here is going to be for controlling the length radius here, and this is already set up, so we just need to drag that right there into the length. And now you can see we get this gizmo here where we can change the length. So now we have nice controls to animate our cone geometry, and we're ready to move on to creating our material. So let's first set that material in here. So we're going to set it right before we go into the transform geometry. So I'm going to grab our object here, click new material. We're going to call this light ray. And then in our geometry nodes here, I'm going to go for set material and drag this over onto this node right here. And then we're going to grab that light ray material just to ensure that it is applied there. Now we'll grab the geometry node window here. We're going to turn this over to the shader editor, and now we're going to begin creating our actual light ray material. Now for the material here, I'm going to work in Eevee rendered view just so that we can work quickly. This will work in both Cycles and Eevee, and we're going to delete the SDF default there. We're going to grab a principled volume node, and we're going to plug that into our volume output here. I'm going to turn off the scene world here under the render settings up here just to make this a little bit more visible. So you can see now that we have a volume on our object here. And what we want to do to create that light effect ray is create noise that is gathered up here at the coordinates of the top of our radius and stretch down to the coordinates of our bottom of our radius, but also to work in 3D space. All that'll be plugged into the density node here, where it will then determine where we get light and where we don't with this volume. So heads up, this is going to be a lot of math nodes. So I'm going to try and move slow here. But the first thing we're going to do is look for a texture coordinate. We're going to take the generated coordinates because we want to be generating these kind of live as we go. We're going to drag this off into a separate X, Y, and Z vector. If you don't know, when we have any face in Blender, it will have vectors that go in any direction in the X, Y, and Z. So by putting this here, what we can do is drag the X, Y, and Z vectors off independently and kind of control what direction they're pointing. If that sounds too complicated, don't worry. Just try and follow along and hopefully it clicks by the end. So I'm going to drag off the X here. We're going to put this into a subtract. So you want to make sure that's in the blue node, not the purple node, because we're not doing vector math on each individual one. Now, what we're going to do is put this by 0.5, and then we're going to duplicate this subtract node here and plug in the Y here. So the reason we're doing that is this coordinate that's kind of generated here at the top is kind of sitting off to the side. And so by subtracting zero 0.5 and 0.5 from it, we will recenter it. So essentially what we've done now is center the X and Y coordinate on our surface up there. Now, the other thing we want to do is take this Z coordinate here, because we're trying to stretch it. We want to stretch it, but make sure that it stays compressed here at the top. So what we're going to do is grab the Z coordinate here. We're going to drag this off into another math subtract node, except this one's going to plug down here into the bottom, and we're going to set this value here to 1. And then we want to kind of protect the positioning of that. So we're going to set a maximum value here. I'm going to look for maximum, click that there. We're going to set this to something really small like 0.025. Like, I understand some of this vector math can be a bit complicated. So if you're struggling to understand what each node does, just try and copy my setup as best as you can. And then hopefully over time, as you continue to do these setups, it'll click with you and how they're working. So we need to do a little bit of math with these nodes that we have. So we're actually going to divide these values. We're going to search for a divide math node here. I'm going to put 1 here, and then I'm going to duplicate this and put this down here. So we're going to take the X subtract node there, plug that into the top of this divide value. We're going to divide that by the Z value here. We're going to take the Y value there, plug that into the top here, and also divide that by that output Z value that we have. So now we have all the information we need, and we need to put it back into a vector so we can control that coordinate. So we separated everything here, so we're going to combine it here. So I'm going to do a combine X, Y, and Z node. I'm going to plug the divide here into the top and this other divide here into the Y. So we're almost ready to plug this into our actual noise texture. We're going to use one more node here. So I'm going to grab these, move these over to the left. We're going to drag off this vector node. And this is a purple socket with vectors, so we need to use vector math. So we're going to type in multiply and make sure that you have the vector math, not the math. You'll know if you had the right one because it'll be purple instead of blue. We're going to plug this here into the top. And then let's plug in a noise texture node here. So I'm going to search for noise texture, make sure that this is plugged into the vector. So we'll change a couple simple settings here. We want this to be into 4D dimensional space, and that gives us the do value here, which we can use to animate. I'm going to leave the scale empty now. We'll plug something else into that. We'll use the detail at 2 and leave the rest of these settings at default. I am going to set the distortion up to maybe 0.2. So let's take a look at that and what that looks like. So you can see that with some of the math we've done, how we're starting to get the data up here kind of crunched, and it's starting to stretch here, but it could look a little bit better. So we're going to adjust the vectors that we have here. So I'm going to set these to 2.2 and 2.2 to kind of move those over. And now you can see how we're starting to get these kind of light rays streaming down from the sides and being kind of clustered up at the top here, which is exactly what we want. So we can start plugging things into our volume here. I'm just going to unplug this here from the surface. We can take the factor here and we can plug it into the density. And you're going to see right now that we're not going to get great results. So we're going to do a few things. First, let's grab a color ramp here. I'm going to click it here, and I'm just going to bring these way over just like this. And you can see now what we're doing is we're crushing. If I take a look at this on the surface, you can see how we're crushing the noise there and getting a more contrasted black and white look. And you can see how we're starting to get our light rays that they're a bit faint. So we're going to fix that here in a moment. So let's grab this, move this over. We're going to search for a multiply math node. I'm going to click this, drag this over here. We'll plug this into the top and we'll set this value to something like 0.075. And then we'll take this again. We'll duplicate this math node here. And for now, I'm going to set this to something like 0.5. I'm going to plug the color here into the top value there. Take this value here and plug it into the emission strength. And now you can see how we're starting to get our light rays popping through and giving us that nice shape coming out from the top there. So this technically is our finished effect, but I'd like to make it a little bit easier to control so that we can control the look of all these elements. So let's take all of our assets here. We're going to hit Control G. What that's going to do is give us this little group input over here. So I'm actually going to move this and we can start plugging things into it. So for example, here, if we plug in the W value, that will allow us to control the animation. So we can call this animation. We'll plug in the scale, which will work as you would expect with the noise scale. We can plug in the color here. And then we can also grab this number right here and plug that in, and that will be the emission strength. And I'll name this emission strength over here. And then if we tab out, you can see that now we have a simple shader node where we can control all those attributes here. So if I drag the animation here, you can see how we can animate it. But if you want to do some additional changes in here, there are other ways you can play with this effect. So if you want to play with the contrast, you can play with that contrast right here, shifting this color ramp around until you get a look that you are happy with. And another thing you can also do is if you search for a gradient texture here, let's take a look at this. Leave this to linear. We can do a texture coordinate. We'll do it generated into a separate X, Y, and Z vector. And if I plug just the Z in there, we can control that gradient from the top and the bottom. So if I do a color ramp here, drag that over there, I can then kind of control the darkness fall off. I'm going to set this to something like ease, so it's a little softer. And then you can actually multiply that over the whole end result here if you like. So if I were to grab the mix color and plug this into here and move all this over, grab this here, we could plug our original result here, plug this result here. I'm going to unplug it from the viewer right now. And you'll see here that we can actually use this to multiply on top of our effect. And then we can control the fall off there, getting a little bit more of a natural fall off. And if I pop out here and up the emission strength to 5 and do a nice kind of warm color, let's make sure that that color is plugged in there correctly. You'll notice that it's actually not affecting the color. And that's because since we bumped up the emission color is overpowering the original color. So if you tab back into your object there, you can grab the emission color, plug it into that same color slot, then that color value will apply to both of those light rays. And with that, we have a full light ray system ready to be used in any of our scenes. If you found this tutorial helpful and you'd like to support the channel, you can check out my Patreon where I provide project files such as this and other goodies. I also have a variety of in-depth courses on Skillshare and several products on Superhive, which are all linked below.